Good day and welcome. It is a pleasure to be with you again today on Press Hour. Sensitization on stepping up the representation of women in decision-making positions within the past decade has resulted in what some observers have described as a revolution. Between 2013 and 2020, the figures and percentages are impressive. What is the current situation and why focus on percentages instead on equal access? That will be our focus on Press Hour today. But the Cameroonian 10th legislature is sitting in an ordinary session. This week, the Parliamentary Peace Day was celebrated and Cameroon was part of the international event. How is Cameroon living up to its parliamentary mandate, that is, voting and passing laws, holding government responsible, that is, accountable, ensuring that there is the respect of international treaties and conventions, and why not, being movers of development. As parliamentarians, those are the principal aspects that make up their mandate. There are so many others according to the context. We shall also discuss these issues in today's edition of the program. And to talk about the issues at stake today, we have the following panelists. I'm going to start with the one lady who is on the set, Yvonne Moma B, who has so many titles, but we prefer to just contextually address you as an expert, an advocate for more women in politics. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kilian.
Beside you there, we have Honorable Daniel Ngale Etonge. He's a member of Parliament. He is also President, CPDM Section President from Dian 4 in the Southwest region, and he is one of those people who make laws. He's going to give us and expert knowledge on what Parliament is doing. Welcome, Honorable.
Thank you, Kilian. The pleasure is mine. May I use this opportunity to greet my fellow panelists and Cameroonians who are always glued to this program at this hour.
Thank you, Honorable. I have Viban Jude. He's a journalist. He is the national president of Kamasesh. That's English-speaking journalist of Cameroon. He's also a reporter in Action, it's a newspaper. He has other portfolios, but we will limit at that for now. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kilian, for having me, and good afternoon to your great audience.
Yes, we always start elsewhere and we end at home. The closest person to me is Eugene D. Eugene D. is a publisher of Newswatch newspaper. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Kilian. It's a pleasure.
Yes, it didn't come up in the topics that we are going to discuss. The presidential decree that came out a few days ago, two days ago, extending the retirement age of the medical personnel, some by 5 and others by 6 years. Generally, some will be retiring at 60. And it has been said that medical doctors have been retiring at the time they are mature to be at their best level of performance. We're going to go around. We'll begin with you, Jude. How do you are not a medical staff, but I think that this is something we can appreciate.
I think it is often said that health is wealth, and for those who ensure our health, those are the medical doctors and the nurses. And it is something they have been asking for so many years. They've been asking that the retirement age be pushed a little bit ahead so that doctors don't retire at their prime. Doctors retire when they're actually tired. because you will realize that most doctors retire to open private clinics or retire to go to other medical institutions, which is a sign that they are not tired. And then public institutions, which are the hospitals that are supposed to be giving a wider health care to the population doesn't benefit from that. When they go to private clinics, it becomes a lot more expensive and a lot more difficult for the average Cameroonian.
Yes.
So I think it is a good decision by the head of state. Nevertheless, I know that people will still want it to be pushed a little bit higher, and there are other cause that will also be asking that, what about us?
Yes.
Do we not
We're
also...
going to ask that question to another person, but Honorable, I would like you to talk rather on the timeliness of this decree. You know, at the time, we have medical doctors who are on the front line of COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, thank you, Kilian. It is quite timely, salutary, and this is what the President of the Republic is. You can remember that many Cameroonians have been asking for retirement age to be extended. That the President has done that now for the medical practitioner is just but salutary, because I don't think there would have been any other time better than this. And so we say congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable. Yvonne Moma will say, I was going to ask you this question, he wanted to dive into it. There are people who are clamoring, saying, okay, it's not because the doctors are on the front line now, they are also working at their different levels. Should it, according to you, be extended, or it should be done at the time the President deems necessary?
I don't, I will never totally agree with everybody, because the clamor for the extension of retirement age had been on the forefront on the ground. If this has been done for medical personnel, why not for others? I think what has just been done for them is justice that has been meted. And I hope that, I want to believe that the activity of the present Minister of Public Health might have prompted that action, if not 38 years after or 37 years after. Is it today the President knows that Cameroonians needed to work for a certain age so that what they contribute to the development of the country is more?
We appreciate more the fact that it has come, whether it has delayed or not. That's what we're talking about.
I'm saying thank you, it has come.
Thank you.
But all others too should be taught about.
That's right.
It should be just.
Eugene, health is wealth. I think that's wealth that has been given to Cameroonians by extending the retirement age of these devoted, these important medical staff in whose hands lie our health.
Yes, that is true. It is a welcome initiative that the President has extended, because like Viban earlier said, there are other medical staff who retire and they are not tired. It's true, there are some who are tired even before they go on retirement, but we cannot generalize. But we also think that the President should not only limit at extending retirement age, he should also think of how much those doctors who put their lives at risk to save us earn. I think that would be also important. We should look at what they earn, how they live. Okay. It is important too.
Thank you very much. That was the first part we just did not introduce. We have two other special guests on this program today on Press Hour. We have the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena Ondwa, who is standing by now. I didn't introduce. We'll have another guest later that we're going to take live, and it's on the first topic, as we see, how many women do we have in politics within the past, especially the 10 years from 2013, when so many actions in favor of that were taken in Cameroon. We're going to go over to the Minister, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena Ondwa, what is the situation in terms of representation of women in Cameroon? We're talking about ministers, members of parliament, directors general, and what have you. Can you give us the situation? Thank you for accepting to talk to us.
Thank you very much for this opportunity once again to exchange on this particularly sensitive issue. I would like to tell you that yes, progress has been made in the representation of women in the political sphere, and this has been possible with the will of the head of state. I will not go very, very far back, but he reiterated his usual commitment in the 2018 presidential election, and to have more women participate in decision-making process. And it is in this line that with I will start with the parliament. The two houses of the parliament in the National Assembly, we were concerned about maintaining the cap because we reached 31.1% in the last legislature. We had 56. And we were very worried that we might lose it. And we moved to 61 women, which is a big achievement. And it means that the other women who were there before did very well and were role models to stimulate others to stand, and that the others were capable of defending themselves during elections. In the Senate, we have 26 women, which is also very good. And I'm telling you that we were concerned because we could have lost that number. We could have gone below 30%, but we maintained the 31% and we even added, so that the will of the head of state was maintained and women did better, and they are better represented now. And concerning the parliament, I would like to tell you that the dean of the two chambers were women before the elections of the two bureaus. And I think they did it with dignity, with competence, whether in the National Assembly or in the Senate. They were, by coincidence, they were all women. And we were very happy by the way they carried out their responsibilities. Now, concerning the members of government, we have right now 11 female members of government, and you have some highly technical ministries where women are heading. I can mention the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, and I can also mention the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation, among others. Now, not far back, June 30th, we had new female secretary generals appointed by the head of state, and the Ministry of Justice Secretary General is a well-known magistrate who doesn't have anything to prove. She's competent. The Ministry of External Relations has a female Secretary General, a plenipotentiary ambassador, and a minister, rather, and she's competent. And there are two others. So the number moved from 6 to 10. So it proves that the women are there when you look for them. And when you find them, they are valuable women, they are competent, they fulfill the criteria to really assume those positions.
Yes, and we know, Madam Minister, Professor Marie-Teresa Benandwa, that with that you are not satisfied with the figures. What is your ministry, the technical ministry, doing to make sure that the situation even gets better?
Thank you very much. I would like to mention that the government has elaborated a national gender policy in 2014, which was validated by the Prime Minister, head of government, during a cabinet meeting with a national action plan. Currently, that national gender policy is under review to be updated. Also, the ministry has been producing a document called gender mainstreaming. What does gender mainstreaming mean? It means that we start with public administrations to see the representativity of women in positions, certain positions, directors and what have you. The first edition only told us the truth, because some ministries did not have women with the post of director or sub-director. So it was an eye-opener to them, because we presented the results in a cabinet meeting, and each member of government received a copy, and we ventilated the document in other administration, public and semi-public. The second edition came. We saw an improvement. We saw an improvement in the increase in the number of women in those positions in the administration. We moved to the private sector, and we kept seeing an improvement, and you have been seeing the number of women increasing, being promoted as directors in administration or in other sectors, even in the private sector. So that I think it was extremely important to let everybody know that those women were being underutilized. They were competent, but a lot of time they would just look at curriculum vitae of men and really not be interested in seeing what women do. And it was quite frustrating to them. But more and more, they are looking at the competence rather than looking at the sex. And I would like to remind you that, just a reminder that the Constitution does not make any difference between men and women. And even in job positioning, when you apply for a job in Cameroon, there is no difference in salary between a man and a woman. Because in other developed countries, there is a big difference between the salary of a woman with the same competences, same degrees. You compete for the position, your salary as a woman will be lower than the salary of a man with the same degree and the same competence. You graduate from the same school, but you'll not have the same salary just because one is a man and the other is a woman. In Cameroon, we have equal salaries. So it has been like that forever and will not change. So this is something that is very positive in our government. Now, we organize sessions to prepare women to run in politics, to teach them how to sell themselves, how to present in politics, how to carry out debates, how to sensitize so that they can be elected, because a lot of time they were saying that the enemies of women are women, and which is not true, and women were essentially utilized to animate political rallies and what have you. Don't know. Don't just be there to animate political rallies. Register and vote. So sensitization was made on women to go register and vote. And for those who felt that they were competent to run as candidates, we prepared them through meetings. We call them genre, café genre, with partners like UN Women, to teach them how to prepare their documents, how to speak in public, and how to carry out campaigns. And we think that it works. There's only one thing that is a big handicap is finances. Because a lot of times, women do not have money to go into politics, and we are hoping that partners will also help them, because men have more means than women. The state does its share because the state helps in politics, but partners should also help them so that they can go into communities and campaign efficiently. So it is extremely...
Thank you very much. That was Madame Marie-Therese Benandwa. Thank you very much for accepting to enlighten us on matters of more women in politics.
Thank you. It is a pleasure and to have you this day, and I hope that you'll continue to support women. I know you do it, but I will make sure I check if you have already signed the document, he for she, because we cannot move without men.
I have not yet signed. I think I should sign. We have a lady here who is a crusader in peace and in matters of women in politics. She's going to let us to do that. Thank you very much once again. Thank you. And just to say that she did not talk about women who are directors general. We have board chair of INAM, of ART, that's Telecommunications Regulatory Board, of Back Board, of Sonara, and some others, Sopecam, who are ladies who are proving their worth. You listen to the minister there enlightening us. We are going to start with you. Are you satisfied with what you have as women?
Oh, on the government bench, it's satisfaction. But from a civil society perspective, during the last legislature, we had that 31%. With the crisis and all what Cameroon has been going through, we've never heard the women, the voice of the women who were elected to represent Cameroonians. 11 ministers could do better, and they could be given technical ministries. I always take an example of Professor Marie-Therese Benandwa, who is a renowned pediatrician. Can she not manage the Ministry of Public Health? That would be putting a square peg in a square hole.
Well, where she is she not managing it? What?
I repeat, put technicians where they should be. It is a matter of appointment, so it takes political will. Technicians should be put where they should be. So it is not satisfaction from my side, because when we talk of female representation, we can praise ourselves for the 31% in parliament.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need a qualitative representation and not numerical strength. I've not spent the number of years in my life clamoring for more women to have quantity and not quality. We want women who represent. Women that when issues pertaining to women are raised, we are an armed conflict in 2 regions of our country, 3, plus the extreme north. Women are more affected. I expect these women, to whom Cameroonians have given a mandate to represent them, to be the torch bearers for peace crusades, to negotiate the peace that we all are dreaming for, to return to these 2 regions. I've not seen that, so yeah. I still remain. It's a new legislature. I hope this time around they will walk the talk.
Yes, I will stay with you. When you look at the evolution, I call it that way, that people who call it a revolution in the representation of women in politics in Cameroon. Before 2013, when we had the twin parliamentary and council election, when we had this, the Senate came into the scene, we didn't have the number of women you are talking about today. And it took one person in his party, as the chairperson of our party, to make women come in to the scene. So there has been a lot of change within a short time.
When you say make women come in, it's as if Cameroon lacked the competent women. It's always political will. Elsewhere, positive discrimination, because there are international charters that Cameroon has signed, international conventions pertaining or relating to representation that Cameroon has signed. We are no longer talking 30%. It's already 50-50 elsewhere. We know we'll get there, but it should not look like it's a favor somebody is given to women.
I will stay with you there. Don't you also think that by saying 50-50, you are discriminating against women? Instead of talking about equal access, which means if women merited 60%, they should go in.
Yeah,
so it's about women also.
No, it should not be. It's not a competition of numbers. It's not like they don't merit. We have the competent women, but we know what the political terrain is in Cameroon. When we go to check disaggregated data on elections, I think the highest number of women had participated in elections in 2011. You go to Elecam to take those figures, you realize their participation is reducing. I will repeat, we want more women, but give them the opportunity to show what they came there for. We want competent women.
Last question for you before I go to Honorable and the two other gentlemen on the set. You are one of the front line, if not the one who is now almost leading the more women in politics in Cameroon. I know you are there, Madam Professor Defo, Justine is also there. Don't you think that you are misfocusing your fight instead of making it mandatory in the Cameroonian law in such a way that the law is there, is not for the whims and caprices of people to say, okay, we choose women. And when even we have in an electoral code, they say gender consideration. It's just a consideration. Don't you think that your fight is not well focused?
Well, it's not those proposals for an amendment of the law we've not made. But like we all know, it takes political will for even a bill to land in Parliament, for the obese majority even to accept to vote it, which is mostly men. They will always want to pull the blanket to their side. It's not that we've not taken the legal battle. The minister mentioned the appointment of secretaries general. Are women only good for to be secretaries?
No, they are ministers. She is a minister.
11 ministers. I say, I don't know.
Okay.
Kilia, you will not force me to accept what I don't believe in. More women can attain those positions and do better.
Thank you.
The few like herself who've been there have proven their worth.
Thank you.
So more women should be given those opportunities.
Okay, we listen to you. Honorable, it's coming directly to you. You are the ones in Parliament. What is wrong that, are you the ones who block women from progressing by not making laws that favor, not actually favor as she's saying, that makes laws that make it mandatory for women to come up to 30, 50 or whatever percentage?
Thank you, Kilian. May I use this opportunity to first of all congratulate Madame Yvonne for the struggle they have been putting on and on and on. You heard from the minister, there is no law that discriminates against women. We happen to be in a house which has to do with representatives of the people. What does this mean? It means that you have to be elected by the grassroots population for you to accede to the house. And when it comes to politics, you would agree with me that it's of late actually that we are getting women interested in politics. I happen to be a section president and I know what I'm talking about. You call for a meeting of 100 people in the meeting, you may have just 2 or 3 women. But that is where the grassroots education is carried out. You are not there. So how do you get the intrigues, you know, that go with getting elected?
Now,
and
when we look at images of rallies and meetings, we see women.
Majority.
Well, women are majority. I don't know from where you have taken that statistics, but I know that during such occasions, women are given an extra motivation to get there. And this is what I think we should also be doing, because in my area, what I do is that I try to meet some girls one-on-one when I'm calling for meetings, you know, in the subdivision. And I want to tell you that the situation has improved. Yvonne mentioned something here that we want competent women, not numerical. We are not talking of numerical. And this lies in the domain of the women. Who are you people choosing? Unfortunately, the political terrain is not that way. We have, before I even came to Parliament, my former colleagues have been clamoring that there should be a law to state the qualification of an individual before you come to Parliament or you handle the post of a mayor. But other indices have indicated that it is not always true. Because we have had people who have managed political positions even more than intellectuals. So you see, there is always this tricky issue there. And so we should continue to advocate for women to be given posts of responsibility. I want to congratulate the President of the Republic. Yvonne may not see it as something worth praising, but I think it is. When you look at what happened, of the 17 Secretary Generals that were appointed, 6 are women. So it goes beyond the 30 or 31% that we have
in one presidential act.
In one presidential act. And so we think it is just a matter of time. We are going to have women even more than this 50% that they are talking about.
Yes, Honorable, I stay with you. You've said you will continue to advocate. You call women to come for meetings each time you call them. But you are in Parliament. Is there nothing in Parliament as a member of Parliament that you can do with your colleagues to make sure that this is law? It is not seen as a favor.
Yes, what we do, we work in synergy with the government, the executives. Whatever we have as a private member bill, we work with the competent ministry, and the competent ministry forwards that to the presidency that will forward it to us as a bill. The issue of women is not something that you can say is not a concern of the members of Parliament. It is a concern for all of us, men and women alike. But I just think that where women, there is a disparity in wages, in salary. That is not the case in Cameroon. Okay. It tells you that Cameroon is on it's on a good footing.
Thank you.
And it's just a matter of time.
Thank you. Jude, do you have any issues with women wanting to come up to measure with men in Cameroon? We have 61, as the minister said, in National Assembly. We have 26 in the Senate. We have so many directors general. We have 11 ministers, full portfolios. Any issue with them coming up?
I don't have any issue with that. When I look at the decision of the head of state promoting women to secretaries general, you realize that that's a technical position. You're basically the brain of the ministry, and like somebody who is raising girls to compete with boys on the same level, and not to have it as a handout in life. What I look at is that once you have those people who have been appointed as director generals of companies and other areas and secretaries general, the girls I'm raising look up to them. They say, okay, this lady was able to be here. It therefore means that nothing can stop me. I'm watching the TV and I see a female minister in a technical position like the Minister of Secondary Education, and which is a very important area in the life of any country. My girl child is also looking and saying that this is possible. The problem I have is that I will not want our country to give positions to people because they are women and they don't merit it. Because If they are women and they don't merit the position, therefore the results will be poor. And so all of us as a society, we are going to bear the consequences of our decision to promote women who are not competent. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
That promoting women is telling the other girls, the young girls, that it is possible. And then also we have to be able to, if these women are promoted today, it therefore means that somebody made a decision earlier on in their life that they should be able to go to school, gave them the same opportunity as a boy child. The therefore means that the parents have a role to play. And so you must make sure that that base doesn't dry out. So you must keep on raising that base so that from that bank can be picked the most competent or those who merit it.
Exactly. Eugene, I was going to say he's explained it very well, that it has to start from the base. And we know that this is not what happened. In those days, only most women, most girls, as you said, they were sent into early marriages. They were sent to the farms, and they did some other house chores while boys went to school. And that's why up to today we have this disparity. Eugene, do you think that the catch-up is so fast that women are coming up, they're asking for too much, they should allow time to take its turn?
I am not an advocate for the women to begin with, but I think they are not asking too much. We can't have over 50 members of government, I think, in Cameroon, 63 members of government in Cameroon, and you have only 11 women and you go celebrating. No. And out of the 11, let me tell you, only 7 are ministers. There are 4, 3 secretaries of state and 1 minister delegate. So only 7 are ministers. So we are talking about 7 on 63. We cannot be celebrating.
Secretaries of state are
okay,
ministers.
11 on 63, yes. Good. 11 on 63, and we go celebrating. It is not, to me, is not logical. We cannot be saying that they are not competent. I think some women in this country have proven that what a man can do, a woman can do, and do it more better. I will cite one example. Camtel. For the past 1 year or so, 1 year plus that a woman is there, the company has been able to show, or the woman has been able to show that as a woman I can do more than what a man could do.
Thank God you're talking more of the woman than the company.
The company is the person.
It's okay.
At the helm. I'm not talking. Well, yeah. I'm not advertising any company here. Anyway, it's a state-owned company, and this is a state-owned television. They are brothers and sisters. So I am saying that women have proven. We should give them a chance. We should give them a chance. There are other more competent women who are there. Marie-Claire Nana, for instance, at Supecam. She's doing somewhat great job.
Okay, we cited all of that. Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen. Unusually, we are going to, we are on Press Hour, we are going to take the press review at this moment before we get to the next topic. It's once in a while. Bienvenue, Manuela, press review.
The Presidential Reconstruction Plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions occupied a good chunk of newspaper columns the week ending. Paul Tassong advocates concerted effort, writes Cameroon Tribune. To the Guardian Post, Bia's reconstruction plan for the Northwest and Southwest, impossible mission. The paper reports that analysts qualify idea bright but approach wrong. Municipal updates see Southwest ready to recover lost glory as the divisions of the region roll out new strategy and presents the Southwest package. The Horizon writes Minister Tassong says presidential plan must work despite security concerns. The Voice newspaper also quotes the national coordinator, the economy of our regions has been severely afflicted. Then, the Northwest-Southwest Women Task Force, any reconstruction under military supervision will lead to more human material loss. The Post, in the same line, quotes Minister Tassong, presidential reconstruction plan is path to peace, before stating that phase 1 of the plan focuses on rebuilding 12,000 homes, social cohesion. All these happening amidst pockets of violence in the northwest and southwest regions. The lone English daily The Guardian Post headlines, "Suspected Amber fighters behead 2 girls in Kumba," as military blunder leaves 6 civilians dead in Du on the same paper. Then explosions in Yaoundé trigger mass arrests with Anglophone-dominated neighborhoods hardest hit on the Post newspaper. Before Ngarbo massacre appeasement measures are auctioned on the Guardian Post. Then Mamfe produces youngest Cameroon mayor again on municipal updates as new Bafor paramount ruler invites God to heal Kumba on the Guardian Post. At a time, human rights advocates tell Biya on the Post Weekender declare October 1 Day for Prayers and National Reconciliation. Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea dump military might, embrace dialogue, strengthen cross-border collaboration, headlines the Post Weekender. To Cameroon Tribune, Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea border issues on the table for discussion. The coronavirus continues to poke its ugly head in the country. Yaoundé and Brazzaville concerts on how to mitigate economic impact in CEMAC on Cameroon Tribune. As government addresses EU travel ban on Cameroon over COVID-19 on the horizon, testing of students in Bamenda Archdiocese for COVID-19 sparks controversy on the same paper. Then CAF postpones AFCON to 2020 on the Guardian Post, and Cameroon Tribune due to COVID-19, at a time dreaded Nkwen masquerade unleashed to punish defaulters on the Guardian Post. Just when PhD holders rob academic robs in mud by marching on the streets of Yaoundé to thank Paul Biya for recruiting them on the Guardian Post. Let's now end our press review with this story on the Horizon newspaper, wherein a bishop in Bafoussam has suspended a popular priest for performing ritual dance. His Lordship Dieudonné Watio is said to have suspended Reverend Father Andre Marie Nkeni for wearing a traditional dress of the Bamileke people and taking part in a ritual dance. The video of him performing this dance went viral on social media. This has stirred controversy since Pope John Paul II introduced inculturation into Catholic worship, writes The Horizon. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thank you very much, Manuela. We are going to take you, ladies and gentlemen, into our second topic, which is parliamentary mandate. How is the Cameroonian Parliament fulfilling its statutory mandate? We are talking about controlling government action, first of all, passing voting laws, and we're also talking about the Parliament making sure that international treaties and conventions are respected and be movers of development. That's essentially what we want to see, how far Cameroonian Parliament has come and what it's left for the Cameroonian Parliament to do just what it's supposed to do. We have another guest who is an expert in parliamentary business. He is Professor Samuel Efwa-Mbozo, who is a constitutionalist, that is in terms of law. Prof, we're going to ask you, first of all, the situation in Parliament in Cameroon in terms of playing its role. Prof, are you with us?
Okay, thank you. First of all, as you know, in democracy, the sovereignty belongs to the people. And in representative democracy especially, the people choose its representative members at the parliament. So, the representative democracy has some key principles. First of all, the people, the sovereign people, choose his representative at the National Assembly and at the Senate. Secondly, there is what we call today the majority system phenomenon. Who means when a party wins the election is the members of this party who conduct the government business. So in our constitution, it's clear that the law initiative belongs to the President of the Republic and the members of the Parliament. So you can imagine that you have a majority in a parliament and a majority in the government, the same majority in the government. You can logically conclude that things will be very easy for the government to pass its bill at the parliament. So when the bills come to the parliament, coming from the executive, the government, if the majority is the same, what do you want the parliament do? You know that the government has more means in terms of structure, in terms of finance, in terms of human resources than the parliament. So that's why in the representative system, most of the bills come from the government. And this is not the case, the only case of Cameroon. Over the world, we have the same situation. So we have only some bills presented by the parliament who became law. In Cameroon we have, and unfortunately, many people doesn't know that.
Prof, I'm going to ask you, you say many people know about some of the bills that have been altered in Parliament. Do you have some examples to give us where Parliament has actually made its mark?
We have some. We have some. And I can give you some example. First of those examples is the rules of procedure of the National Assembly or the Senate. Do you know that the rules of procedure is a bill initiated by either the National Assembly or the Senate? This is an initiative initiative from the Parliament who became a law, the rules of procedure. I have another example. You remember in the 90s, with this University of Yaoundé crisis, Parliament wanted to have a parliamentary inquiry commission, but unfortunately they couldn't. Why? Because there was not a law given the functioning of this type of commission. So the Parliament, what they did, they proposed a bill for the functioning of this commission, inquiry commission. This is another bill, and the head of state promulgated it. We have also many other bills initiated by the Parliament. For example, the bills relative to the law relative to the pension of the members of the Parliament is a bill initiated by the Parliament. You know that when you have 2 or 3 consecutive mandates in the Parliament, you become a pensioner of the National Assembly. But you have to do it. They do it by bill, by a law promulgated by the head of state. So they have many others. But what I can say regrettable is that people are not informed about what the Parliament is doing exactly.
Very much, Professor Samuel Mbozo. Fuambozo for accepting to answer our questions on Press R. It was really enlightening.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Once again, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, you followed him there. Honorable to you. He said you have been doing so much. Many Cameroonians also think that Cameroonian Parliament cannot actually hold government accountable.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Killian, for giving me once more the floor. You know, it's unfortunate, I say it's unfortunate that many Cameroonians love sensational issues, but that's not what members of parliament are called upon to do. As you rightly said, we are there to vote the bills, control government action, and accompany the government in achieving its developmental goals. And when you look from that perspective, you would agree that the Cameroonian parliament is doing a lot. It is true that a lot is still to be done. We are agreed. But to say that they are not doing the work, that's where we can never agree.
Yes, like he has said, he has given some examples of where you have actually altered certain things, amended some bills, and even initiated some. Yvonne, Moma, you are itchy to defend, probably in the same line as Honorable.
Yeah. When he gives examples of where Parliament has altered some bills, it's only when that is done to favor their well-being in that house, like members of Parliament. He talked about the internal rules of Parliament. The Senate does the same. Since the advent of the Senate, we've not had them sit down and come out with their internal rules. They just came, copied and pasted what the National Assembly, what obtained in the National Assembly. We all know we are not in a parliamentary system, but the issue of private members' bills that come from the opposition. Today we have a single house parliament because there is no longer an opposition parliamentary group. So it is...
What happened to it?
Oh,
you are a member of the party?
There is no longer an opposition parliamentary group. We will not dwell into elections. If not, that's a talk for another day.
Now, before you
no longer have...
On the same line, let me ask you this. Your party, I think you are proud of your party, the SDF, has been very active since the early 90s, up to recently that they don't have a parliamentary group. Can we say that that parliament has not done anything well when your party was participating for how many years?
When a bill is brought to Parliament, like the Prof said, they vote following party discipline. When you have an obese majority, what can 30% of a house do to 70% of the house? It has been a status quo since we came there. Yeah, Cameroonians are more informed. I heard you talk about what Cameroonians aspire or what they think. Cameroonians have been enlightened, true, but I wish we had a parliament where each member could come with the realities from his constituency. The seat, debate on Cameroonian issues like people who represent Cameroonians and come out with laws that would favor the Cameroonian lambda. That's the Cameroonian back there,
yes,
in
the grassroots.
Please, Killian, I beg, before you get to the other panelists, I would like to react on what Yvonne said, that essentially we are there to amend sections of the bill only when it concerns our own interest. Okay. You see, this is the type of impression that we don't want our people to give Cameroonians. Come to think of it, in 2017, the Minister of Justice presented the penal code for adoption in Parliament. Do you remember that in that bill, there was a section that was asking us to give immunity to ministers?
I remember.
Yes.
And you didn't let it go.
We said no.
Because you have voted. They are not.
Thank you. That's a very palpable example. I'm going to touch the two other gentlemen before I get to Elvis Teke, who is already here with their actions. Briefly, Jude, the Parliament, in terms of making sure that international treaties, because that's one of its rules, Cameroonian Parliament, do you see it playing that role? How far?
For international treaties, I see it playing that role, but permit me to say other things about the Parliament. The Parliament is doing what it can do in the present dispensation, and they can only do what they are able to do within this context of the way it is set up. You realize that my worry is the kind of people who get to Parliament. Do they have the competence to be able to scrutinize bills? Do they have the capacity? Honorable here, I don't know how many people Honorable has around him, but I think that he should have a team around him. I take, for example, like media, where I come from the media. He needs proper advice and proper professional advice when it comes to the media and to public relations and to communications. I don't think that the Honorable can be able to afford that, even if he is willing. So you have a situation where people who come to Parliament, those who make a difference in their community and elsewhere, are people who came to Parliament already very rich guys. I give an example. If you take like Honorable Ngala Gerard, he can make a difference.
Yes,
because he came to the Parliament not to seek for anything. But most people who come to Parliament come to seek for something.
Yes,
and so
we're not going personal. We're not going personal. Your point is made. Thank you very much. Briefly, Eugene, we are talking about Parliament, and we also know that it's involved in development. Do you see our Parliament actually being movers of development very rapidly?
I think our Parliament has failed in that aspect. I'm going to, because of the time factor, I'll come back to what Prof said about a law that the Parliament introduced, giving benefits to MPs and retired MPs and the rest. I want to tell you that that is because of their interest. I have not seen a law that will trigger development at the grassroots that Parliament is struggling to introduce. The Speaker of the House says, okay, when the Speaker retires and is still living, he should be given this kind of car and this. It's for his own interest because he knows he's going on retirement very soon and he's still living. So the Speaker says when a member of the Bureau retires, he should be given this. It's because they have sat in a Bureau meeting in the Chairman's Conference and decided upon that, and all of them are going on retirement. Yes, they're doing it for themselves and not for the communities that they represent.
Your point is made. And you also heard from Professor Samuel Fuambozo, the way the Cameroonian Parliament is set in such a way that bills come from a particular channel, and then you cannot blame Parliament because that's the procedure there. We have Elvis Teke, who is here already with reactions from some of you who have been watching the program. Elvis?
Yes, quite a good number of reactions. You may not be able to read all. We begin with Bonway on Prof, who puts a question that why is it that when equity in development and gender issues are mentioned, you mostly think of appointments and positions. And Kingdom Theodore says the political battlefield is seen to be scary for many women, and so they are afraid to engage into politics. And on the second subject, it says there's a big disconnection between Parliament and their constituents, and there should be consultation with people before bills are proposed and voted in Parliament. While Chris Dix says some women are the same people dragging themselves behind and they make noise at the background. How many women are bold enough to appear on media and talk?
Thank you very much, Elvis. If you go for your time check, you see that our time is up. Just to appreciate you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Just say here that we had guests, Professor Marie-Therese Abenandua, Minister of Women's Empowerment, and the family, Professor Samuel Fuambozo, who is an expert in constitutional law. We all had Honorable Daniel Ngale Tonge, who is Member of Parliament, Yvonne Momabi, who is an advocate for more women in politics. She has so many other titles. We had Jude Viban, who is a journalist, the national president of Kamasej. We had Eugene Ndi, who is the publisher of Newswatch. newspaper. Thank you very much for being with us. We take an appointment for next week, but there will be a rebroadcast of this program tomorrow. Take the appointment. Thanks for your time.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.